Well, good morning. This is Matt Bergstrom with the World Sauna Group. I'm here on behalf of Sauna Supply Company and special guest this morning, Kyle Okposo. We're here to talk. We're really here to talk hockey, and we're going to obviously talk about sauna and cold plunge and contrast therapy and anything else that comes up. But yeah, Kyle, thanks for doing this. We appreciate it, and this
Yep,
is awesome.
of course. Thanks for getting this all set up
Yeah,
for me. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
So a quick background. I think Kyle, you reached out to me. I don't know if you reached out to me personally or through the. I think it was the connection with the Florida Panthers. I
Hmm.
was lucky enough to work with the Panthers on some of their saunas at the new facility and the rink down there. And of course, you were on the team last
Yeah,
year, Stanley Cup champion, by the way. So that's kind of a big deal. But anyway, I think my name got thrown into the hat, and then you were looking for a sauna and a cold plunge, and reached out to me or somehow got a hold of me. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, the hockey world's a very small place,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you have done a lot of good work for a lot
yeah,
of hockey guys. So I just threw a couple texts out, and I got your name from multiple people.
right,
So
right,
reached out personally, and we were able to work out the details. And
yeah,
yeah, I couldn't be happier. And obviously spent a ton of time down in Florida in that sauna, their beautiful new practice facility,
yeah.
and like all the guys were in there almost every day after practice, off days, sauna, cold plunge. So
Yeah, that I guess my first question, and we go way back, like you probably didn't grow up with a sauna, right?
mm-mm.
I mean, in the home or even use one as
No,
a
I
child or family or anything like that. So probably first sauna experience maybe through sports, through hockey at the U of M, Florida. Just talk about that a little bit. Like, how'd you get into this?
just sporadically, I think over the years, you start to work out and a couple facilities have a sauna and you hear about the infrared technology and then
Yeah.
that was really big and then
Hmm.
okay then it moves to more traditional as more studies get done but
Yeah.
both have their benefits and
Hmm.
I really got into it a few years ago where it became a part of my routine
Yeah.
but where it opened my eyes more was I went over to Finland and
Oh.
went to a a sauna place. It was a spa, and
Hmm.
it's really dedicated to sauna and cold plunge,
Yeah.
and it's really part of their culture over there. So
Right.
when I started talking to some of the Finnish guys that I played with, and they started explaining more and telling them it's really part of their daily routine and it's part of their culture, I just started to
Hmm.
explore more. And so a few years ago, we started to do it more on the road. We would get into the hotel and try to find a sauna because from a recovery aspect, there's so many benefits and just the way that you feel. Like when I do sauna cold plunge, it feel like it completely resets my nervous system
Yeah.
and it's it just puts me in a really good spot for games the next day or for recovery to reduce inflammation and
Right.
that's where I really found the benefits of it. So been pretty heavily into it for the last few years.
Talk about, you touched on the Finns
Mhm.
or the Finnish people going to Finland, playing there. That had to have an influence. I mean, obviously, the Finnish or the Finns and sauna go hand in hand. That's
Mhm.
where it all started. A lot of our brands and a lot of what we build is built in Finland. So,
Mhm.
is there anyone in particular, or just going over there that influence? Obviously, it shaped how you felt, or got you to this point.
Yeah, well, I've played with several of them, and specifically Henry Jokiharju.
Yeah.
I played with him in Buffalo.
Okay.
He got traded from Chicago to Buffalo, and he came over and he was putting one in his house.
Yeah.
So we were getting one at the rink. They had ordered it, and they were kind of going through some of the supply stuff and okay, which one do we put in? How do we get it? And so Henry kind of took the lead and just
Hmm.
said, "Well, you got to do this."
Right.
And he was putting the one in his home, and I told him that I was interested in doing the same.
Yeah.
So he kind of walked me through what
Yeah.
I need, the questions I need to ask, the type of wood, how it burns. Like it's a science, and
Right.
those
Right.
and the Finnish guys, specifically him, really took it seriously and
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that I got the best product. So,
Right.
and then Jonas Donskoy, who lives just a couple blocks from me, same neighborhood.
Right.
We got to chatting at a neighborhood party this fall, and he said he put one in his home, and
Right.
so he was kind of giving me the same rundown as
Yeah,
Henry
yeah.
did, and that's when you really realize how special it is to them.
And the sauna supply guys built his
Yep.
sauna, correct?
Correct.
I didn't even know there was a connection there, so that is very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. So a couple influential guys who obviously passionate about sauna and kind of, it's funny how the Finns kind of drag you into this, like you know you got to do this, but then you're happy when you do it. Like you said, it's kind of a complete reset. And then talk about like the new term is contrast therapy. You know, you go from the hot or the heat of the sauna to the cold of the cold plunge. And in your case, it's right next door to the sauna, which is ideal.
Yeah.
But I think being in the business, one of the things we see is obviously the cold plunge is crazy right now. I mean, I get inundated by different companies myself, just online. But talk about it from just organic, like using it, how it makes you feel, and one of the things we've talked about is cold plunge is great, but I can't imagine getting in the cold plunge without the heat. I might do it,
Yeah.
but I don't think I would. You know what I mean? Really.
Yeah.
Like if you just had a cold plunge without the sauna, would it be the same? You know what I mean?
It's different in the
Right.
way that it affects your body.
Yeah.
Just because you don't have the heat. So I started doing cold plunge a while ago. We had a trainer on the island when I played for the Islanders that came in, and he was really big every time post game,
Right.
10 minutes
Yeah.
in the cold plunge. So that's when I started to get into it. But I had been doing 1 minute in the cold plunge right when I get to the rink before every game,
Really?
regardless. Yeah.
So before.
Right
Just
before
kind of
every
like
game, just to
a
wake
wake-up call.
Exactly. So that's kind of what you
So
get.
no coffee, cold plunge.
Yeah, well,
coffee
I got
too.
plenty of coffees too. But yeah, so it you know what, it has become all the rage kind of over the last number of years. But I think, I'll speak to specifically in this country, people are becoming so much more aware of health.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of people cutting down on their alcohol intake and really being aware of what they put into their bodies. And when you have something like this, if you're doing a sauna and cold plunge, the way that it makes you feel, there's a noticeable difference.
Right.
And I think as a society, especially the younger generation right now, is starting to really invest in their health and their wellness.
Right.
And this is such an awesome tool in that space, just based on the way it makes you feel, based on the way it makes you recover. And I feel like it helps your brain fog a bit. And so it's a bit of a societal thing, and it's good to see.
Right. No. And being a professional athlete, even more important, but you don't need to be a professional athlete to, like what you just said, the wellness, the clarity, all those things.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, I know myself, I'm not, none of us are getting any younger. So I get up, I'm kind of morning sauna, like early morning, where I used to be like late at night, helps you sleep. And I don't have the cold plunge currently, but in the summer, I just use my pool and just going back and forth. And you just wake up, you feel better, feel more productive, what have you.
Yeah.
So all that stuff you touched on.
Yeah, it's a great start to the day for sure.
Yeah.
Like I'll come down here, wake up at 5, and hop on the bike, hop in here. It's great.
So getting off the sauna train here, let's talk hockey. I love hockey. Just quick, I built the first sauna for the U of M. I don't know if you were there. This would have been Mariucci, or what we call the new. It's now old Mariucci, but it's and I want to say the guy that drove that for them getting the first sauna, and then now we've done another one there, or a redo of the locker room, but was Paul Martin. And I don't know, you must have been teammates with him. He's now currently on the bench for the U of M. So, but he was a big sauna guy and actually kind of helped fund or get the team as he was in the NHL. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know Paul at all, but
that's
kind of a cool story. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that Paulie had set that up for them, but yeah, I was just there, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, and went down to the room, and I hadn't been to the new locker room since they redid it.
It's nice.
It's awesome.
A little nicer than when you were there.
Just a bit. So yeah, it's good that Paulie did that. He's a really, really good dude. So
yeah. Like I said, I don't know any him or you guys personally, but it's just cool to see who kind of the influencers are, and the fact that they had an old sauna, which was great,
Hmm.
and then with the new locker room came a new improved sauna. And talk about back at the U,
Hmm.
national champion. You were on.
No, no,
You weren't on that team.
no,
See, I thought you were.
no. My brother-in-law was
Who?
Tyler Hirsch. He was,
Okay,
yeah, he
yeah,
was my
yeah.
brother-in-law.
But you were around that time frame.
Yeah, I
Some
missed it by
really
a few
good teams.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they went 02 and 03,
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Right.
Yeah, they had some really good teams. I came 06, 07 was my
And
freshman
you
year.
didn't play like the 4 year, did you?
I did a year and a half.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
weren't there very long. You were too good.
No, I just it was just the way that the situation
Right,
worked out, and
right.
it's funny. Like I still get some flack from people for I left halfway through the season. It was a very agonizing decision. I've talked about it, publicly, and
Yeah,
but it was yeah, it was just tough how it all ended. But I really enjoyed my time there. I mean,
right,
I grew up in St. Paul, and
right,
the Wild weren't around when I grew up, so
right.
every Friday, Saturday night, I was in my basement with my stick and a golf ball, and I would shoot pucks at the fireplace and watch Gopher games.
Like the rest of us. Yeah.
Exactly.
Grew up Friday, Saturday. That's what you did
Yes,
back in the day.
100%. And that's where I really fell in love with it, and I wanted
Right.
to go to school there from the jump.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Awesome. So talk about the pros. You were in Buffalo, Islanders, and then obviously what everyone probably wants to hear now when you win the Stanley Cup. But a lot of that was a short time at Florida.
mhm.
A lot of it was Buffalo and New York, East Coast, kind of a different world. But and we talked about sauna, but a lot of Minnesotan connections out there too.
Yeah, a
You know,
lot, a lot. Well, I started with the Islanders, and going there as a 19-year-old kid, and you're in Long Island, New York. It's a bit
right?
of a culture shock,
Yeah,
but it was a ton of fun. We had a young team. I grew up there, played with Nick Leddy, Brock Nelson,
right.
Anders Lee, like just a bunch of Minnesota guys there actually. But um, it was fun. I enjoyed my time there a lot, and we had our first two kids there.
Yeah.
Signed as a free agent in Buffalo after, and I had some injury issues. I had a bad concussion that really kind of helped. It changed my life in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But and then after that, I became a different player. There's a lot that went into that after the concussion, but
Right.
started to become more of like a veteran guy, and
Right.
started to hit my 30s, and you slow down a little bit, so you have to find different ways to contribute, different ways to lead.
Hmm.
And the situation in Buffalo, we didn't have a ton of success on the ice, but
Right.
really taught me a lot about leadership and about how to carry yourself, how to treat people, how to respect people, and it really set me up for my time in Florida when I got traded at the deadline,
Yeah.
last year, and
Yeah.
was able to go on a run there in
Yeah.
Florida. They had a phenomenal team, and I just wanted to kind of
Hmm.
come in and see where I could contribute. And
Right.
um, they have such a good culture down there that they have created, and I felt like I just kind of came in and added a different voice in the locker room, different
Right.
perspective. Had been around a lot of different situations, and it was time to get over the hump for those guys. So it was just a blast to be a part of it and soak everything in and try to contribute around the fringes where I could.
It's kind of like baseball. They need a pitcher. They need a guy that's been there and done that, and you were kind of that guy for them. Hey, this guy can fill a role, and he's still good. He's
Yeah,
strong, but they need guys like that. You see these playoff games, and that becomes like a marathon, just a grind. And they need a dude that can get things done, and that's probably what they're looking for you.
yeah, it was it was interesting. I mean, it came together pretty last minute, and it was something I wanted to. I had a pretty good idea that it was going to be my last year in the
Right,
NHL, just
right,
based on the way my body was feeling. So I wanted to give myself the best opportunity, and
right,
they saw a fit also. And um, you're going to a team like that where you know how skilled they are, how talented they are,
right.
and everything that they have. So um, you have to find a way to contribute. And I just wanted to make sure that I was working hard, leading by example, making sure that I was vocal on the
Yeah,
on the bench, and try to just offer a different perspective to the
right.
guys, and provide a calming influence as well, because the
Hmm.
playoffs are such a grind, and you can ride the emotional roller coasters of the ups and downs. You're not going to win every game. Like
Right.
you're gonna lose some big games, some games you thought you should have won, and
Mhm.
just being able to let it go and take a deep breath and realize that it doesn't matter if you won or lost. It doesn't matter if you lost 8-1 or if you lost 5-4 in triple overtime. It's still one game. You have to let it go.
Right.
And I just tried to provide a calming influence there.
When you're talking, I'm just thinking, and I can't remember exactly, but the one, the Oilers only won one game or two. I think they won two.
No, I mean, we were
Or
up
no,
3-0.
go to game 7.
We were up 3-0.
That's right. And then the one game they just, I mean,
They
it was bad.
dominated us. Oh yeah, I mean, it was game 4. Well,
You know, and I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, wow, you know, McDavid, Draisaitl, here we go. You know, Florida's in trouble. But then, like you said, it's the ups and fellas.
Yeah.
We're fine. We just got to win one game. You know. And,
yeah. Well, that
you know,
that series was crazy because we're up 3-0.
yeah.
We got a chance to win the cup in Edmonton in game 4. We bring all of our families there. You know, we're figuring out tickets, and you're kind of sitting there, and you're like, oh my God, like we have a chance to win the Stanley Cup tonight.
Right.
It's in the building, and then we lost 8-1. It was just we got blown out, and then
Right.
so like, okay, we'll go home for game 5, regroup, and
Yeah.
and we'll win it there.
We got this, right?
Yeah, and then that game didn't go very well,
Right.
and so we're kind of scrambling. That was a game where we were a little bit down after the game because
Mm-hmm.
you know you want to win on home ice and you
Right.
don't want to go back to Edmonton.
No, never.
Yeah,
Never again.
yeah. Go back there for game 6 and
Right.
lose that one.
Yeah,
So
I
then-
forget. How did I forget that? Yeah, but I knew you're like, okay, this is. It was almost like it was going to be easy.
Yeah,
It's like 3-0 and like, hey, we're better than
we're
these
not
guys.
losing a series up 3-0, so like
Right.
we're gonna win. It's just
But all of
when.
a sudden, it's like every game, it's like, but
Yeah.
that's just like, but, and I remember working with the Panthers and the front office on the Saunas, and this has nothing to do with hockey, but I've never worked with a front office that was so passionate about the Saunas. I'm serious. Like
Yeah.
Bill would call me, you know, like he's the GM. I'm like, why is the GM calling me on my cell phone? But he wanted that done, and he said he literally told me, and again, nothing to do with winning but the guys need this. We want to do this right. You know, we've got some guys that are passionate about this, and that I'm sure that's kind of the way him and I know Mo was kind of, you know, a
Yeah.
guy that's been everywhere, but for him too, like he'd never won a cup.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to be the guy that, hey, I won the most games in NHL history, but I never won the big one, right? So
Mhm.
it's kind of like everyone's like,
Yeah.
we got to get this done, right?
For sure. That's funny about Bill that you know he was calling you. He's very detail oriented.
Oh, yeah.
He runs a great ship, but I would imagine he'd have some people in his front office pushing for it because. So I didn't play every game. I was healthy scratch here and there in the playoffs, and so when the games I wouldn't play and would be at the practice facility, they had a staff skate every at whatever 12:30. The guys would be out of there at
Really?
11:30. So then
Yeah.
staff would come in there and do a staff skate. So I'm assuming that it was some of the staff that was pushing him
they,
to get
they
that
probably
sauna
wanted the
done.
sauna.
Yeah.
Right.
so,
Right.
um,
Interesting.
But yeah, and then
That's
you got
funny.
a lot of Finns there too, like Barkey, their captain. He's Finnish.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in there with him all the time, and you know, Luosterainen, you got Lundell.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I started looking up the
Mik-
roster. I'm like,
Mikkola.
wow, there's a lot more Finns than again, like you don't really realize it till you start digging into this.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I just remember that, and they were so hands-on, especially Bill and other staff members, but also like I started kind of watching the Panthers more. Because like, hey, this is not that it was my team or anything.
Mhm.
And then you went there and I'm like, these guys are good.
Oh.
like I think they're going to be in the finals for sure. You know, this was way back even before the playoffs, and I'm like, you know, it was just fun to have a connection with a team like that, and you didn't know anyone, but then you're just watching them from afar, and you kind of see how the inner workings of the team were, a
Mhm.
little tiny little glimpse,
Yeah.
and then you're like, well, that's not by accident. I mean, they
Well,
go about things well, I think.
That's why hockey to me is so special, is because people in the game, when you do make a connection like that,
Yeah.
they always treat people well. Like
Right.
if we're gonna have a relationship with you, we're gonna care. It's gonna be genuine. We're gonna try to treat you with respect, and then those people take a vested interest in you and your sport. And I
Right.
think that's one thing the players do, but not only the players but the front office and staff do as well. Is
Hmm.
and that's how you grow the game and grow the relationships. And hockey is in such a unique place with four nations going on, and
Yeah.
you got U.S. Canada playing, and um, there's tremendous growth potential
Right.
based on how special that the game is, and the audience that you could have, but just how people treat everyone else
Yeah.
that come into the game.
Yeah. You're 100% right, because I've been lucky. I've worked with a lot of pro sports teams. I would say it's not even close. The NHL teams and the guys that are NHL players are the easiest and most fantastic to work with. Just kind of normal guys,
Yeah,
like they're superstars. They're incredibly gifted at what they do, but you talk to them and it could be just one of my buddies.
yeah,
It's really they're just genuine and just good people.
yeah. We
So
appreciate it, and
yeah,
it's special because hockey players, you need a team to
right,
win. You can't just
yeah,
have one or two or three of the best players and expect to win. It's
no,
not like basketball where your guys are playing 45 out of 48 minutes and really
right,
affecting the play that
hmm,
much.
hmm,
You need depth. There's
yeah,
going to be injuries. You need everyone to come together. You need the right culture. There's so many things that go into it,
right,
and I think that that's a big reason why people say that hockey players are great people, because you have to be able to work with everyone.
yeah. Four Nations. I'm sitting there watching. I think the first two games, I'm like, well, I didn't know what it was going to be like. Like, is this going to, I remember talking, I know some people that are scouts and Darby Hendrickson and a few, and I'm like, guys, is this going to be like just an all-star game? Like, are they going to hit? Like, are they just going to, is
Hmm.
this going to be like pond hockey? And they're like, looked at me and they're like, no.
Yeah, I had the same conversations that you did
Yeah.
with people who were asking me like, it's just going to be an all-star game. I don't know if I'm going to watch. And
Yeah.
I've obviously in a unique perspective because I know all these guys and I've been in the meetings behind the scenes to try to get this done.
Yeah.
And so I knew how passionate they all are about it, and
Right.
was talking to them in the lead up of the tournament and everything. And I just said, you might want to tune in. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
and the coolest part about that game specifically on that Saturday night game is, you get the three fights, and my phone blows up from just
Yeah.
everybody. People just like, oh my gosh, did you see that?
Did
Did
you
you
know
see
this
that?
was going to happen?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm a fan too, and I'm
Right.
just screaming at my TV. I'm like, this is unbelievable. And
Right.
yeah, my wife wanted to go on a date that night, and I just said,
No,
I'm sorry, sweetie, like we got to stay
exactly.
home.
I told my wife, well, I think I told Darby or one of the, like Thursday night, I'm off limits. Like
Hmm.
I'm watching hockey 7 to 10. Like
Yeah,
I'll probably shut my phone off
yeah.
because I just want to I don't want to miss it, any of it, because it's so much fun. So yeah, back to sauna. So we talked a little bit. We were chatting. Uh, I work for World Sauna Group. We had a bunch of different models. We kicked around. We wanted something obviously very nice for Kyle, high end, beautiful, but also that works. And ultimately, what happened is the sauna supply guys came in and basically built this sauna from scratch. This was just an open space, um, kind of a gym floor,
Hmm.
open area, and the guys just came in and framed up a couple walls, created that opening for the glass front, and did a pretty remarkable job with the sauna. I mean, kind of from an empty space to like, wow,
It's
that's one of the nicest saunas in a home I've seen in quite some time. So
it's fantastic. They did a great job, and
yeah,
um, yeah, you all did, and just the way that they designed it, and it was fun to watch the process unfold. Like I came down here as they were working on it,
right,
you know, checking in the morning, see where they
yeah,
were at, and then I just wanted to see
yeah,
because I was
right,
just,
right,
and then it was the glass wasn't in, but you could just see how cool it was going to be, and
right,
so it was a great process. Everyone was awesome to work with.
yeah,
Just fantastic people throughout the whole thing. So I don't have enough good things to say about
good.
the entire process.
Well, thanks, good. You chose the thermo aspen. It's a heat treated aspen. It doesn't look like aspen, so aspen's like a snow white, very light, which we have natural aspen too. And I knew when I started working for this company this was going to be a cool look, but It's really cool. I love it. I hope you do too. I think you do, but you
It's
picked it.
it's
So.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a gorgeous. Just the swirl and the way the benches turn out with the heat treated. Again, we call it thermo aspen, and then obviously the glass front is a beautiful thing to have. You don't have to go with a glass front if you don't want to, but it's been a popular thing for a lot of sauna people lately. The Icky heater. This is the Icky pillar heater. Tons of rock. Like we were chatting about that earlier too.
Mhm.
Just the heat, the steam it creates.
Yeah.
It's an
And
awesome heater.
it's not overbearing. It heats up really fast, and
Right.
you put the water on and the steam, and it's not an overbearing type where you're covering your eyes, but it's just
Right.
it's thorough. It gets
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a really awesome
Yeah.
heater.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked when we sell these like the pillar, it has more rock, and we talk about you know um, the true roots of the sauna kind of go back to wood burning and large rock masses, and that's where it all started, and that's how it should feel. And I think with this type of heater, you're kind of replicating that experience. Obviously, you're not going to burn wood in your home, but that's as close. Like I've sold these types of heaters for years, and I tell people that's as close as you're going to get to that authentic wood-fired experience, but with the convenience of
Yeah.
electric heater. So it's just that all encompassing. I always describe people with the wood fired, and I know I'm getting off topic again, but I could talk about this stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
But just like how a wood stove feels different, it
Mhm.
kind of it's like that hearth. It's a radiant, it's a strong, it's all encompassing heat, and that's kind of how that heater operates.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
like
And I've been in plenty of barrel saunas too that are
right,
wood burning, and
yeah,
those are awesome too. It's very similar.
and then yeah, just the heat and the cold, kind of the best of both.
Yeah.
Um, how would you, and I know you haven't had it for a long stretch of time yet,
Mhm.
and you've done this before, but when you have it in your home and you can do this like on a consistent, almost like a daily basis,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal for everyone. It doesn't always work out that way. But how do you think, you touched on it a little bit earlier in the conversation, but how do you think that kind of changes how you feel? Just your overall wellness. When you can make it a daily routine, I think is important.
It is. It's been really important to me since we've had it in,
Yeah.
and it has been a pretty daily thing, and I'll kind of plan my day around it just because I do know
Right.
the difference in how I feel versus when I do it and when I don't. So
Right.
just making it a priority, and like I said, it's kind of a societal health and wellness thing, and to be able to have this in our home has been
Right.
huge. Like I have 4 kids and I'm running around everywhere, and so if I'm picking up at dance late at
Right.
night, and
Right.
I'll go on my phone and throw the sauna on, and
Right.
know that when I get home I can be in here for a half an hour and throw a hockey game on, and
Right.
it's been phenomenal.
I'll tell you well, maybe this isn't a good thing, but I find when I get older, I'm just using the sauna and the cold, and I'm telling myself that's my workout. But you still got to get on the bike once in a while and do something, right?
Yeah. It's an
You know,
additive, not a
right,
substitute.
Still got to do some push-ups and try to do something.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like part of that routine.
Mhm.
It's not now that you're done with hockey, not that you're still going to the rink and stuff, but I don't have to work out like a professional athlete anymore.
Yeah.
But you still need a wellness routine, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to just let it go, like
No.
so you want to stay in shape, you want to be active, you want to have a good rest of your life. It's all that longevity and living better longer. So
100%.
yeah,
You just feel better when you work out, and
right,
when you do things like you said, having a wellness routine. That's
yeah,
big.
yeah, awesome, good.